Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the final year for the gas version for the Camaro. This is a 2024 Camaro ZL1. Huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this American muscle car for me today. Take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. This ZL1 is finished off in Summit White. MSRP start right around $67,000. And this is powered by the 6.2 liter supercharged V8. This model is paired to the 10-speed automatic, and it pumps out 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. That power sent to the rear wheels, propelling this nearly 4,000-pound coupe from 0 to 60 in as quick as 3.5 seconds. It has a top speed just shy of 200 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 19 gallons. You'll expect to see around 14 miles per gallon in the city, 20 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 110.7 inches. Its overall length is 190.2. It has a width of 75 and a height of 52.9 inches. Now with a quick walk around here, hopefully you've been able to tell there have been some exterior cosmetic changes for this ZL1. But coming back to the front, we'll start off with the Chevy bow tie, which is hollow, to give it a little bit more cooling, along with these small inlets that are both sides of that grille there. This also has a set of LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals that are sunken in a little bit. So there's a lot of body work running just in front of those headlights. There's also the vertical DRLs and then a lot more cutouts in that large grille. There's also massive inlets on both sides, and then there's the very large gloss black front splitter, and then a gloss black for the outside of the hood here. There's the hood bulge right in the middle with the functional heat extraction vents, so that way airflow can go through that upper section and then out that way and up over the roof of the car here. Now as we work our way to the side, I am positive that these are the stock wheels just with a white stripe painted on the backside, which I think is a really neat accent. This also has the Brembo brakes with 6 pistons up front and 4 pistons in the rear. There's also more gloss black for the lower side skirt, and there's some vinyl wrap for the side mirrors. And then there's also gloss black for the entire roof. And then as we take a step back, it has a really nice design to it, especially with the Stormtrooper vibe with all the black and white. Now in back, this has a small trunk mounted spoiler with some gloss black vinyl there. There's the third brake light right in the middle, the 3D dimensional taillights, which are LEDs of course. There's a backup camera with all the parking sensors, and then the quad tip dual exhaust along with more gloss black accents. Now being the automatic, we can actually start this up, so let's hold this, bring it to life. And then just hold on that button again, you can shut it off as needed. You can also use the button on the key fob or the hidden button up underneath to gain access to the trunk. Now the one downside with the Camaro is that this has a very small opening in order to place in items, but once you get them in, you have a good bit of space for this coupe. Now you can also fold down the back seats. That will give you a little bit more practicality if you need to put in some larger items, if you can make them through this opening here. You do have a little bit of storage underneath, not a whole lot, but you could place some items there if you really needed to. And then as we work our way to the interior, check out this line right here for the rear fender arch. Definitely a great design. But on the interior now, you'll notice that this door panel is covered in a lot of alcantara. One downside, there's a little bit of plastic that runs through it, but you have some very nice materials with the alcantara, the carbon fiber. There's memory seating adjustments, interior lighting, Bose audio, trunk release. You have a little bit of storage in the lower section there, and then the mirror and window adjustments. Camaro's also down on the door sill, and then this has the Recaro seats, which are finished off in leather with all of the red stitching. Now, let's take a look at these back seats where you can use that control to move the backrest. From there, you do have to use the automatic adjustment down below. The seat is not going to work its way forwards unless you do this. So it's a little bit cumbersome, and the back seats are really not made for adults. But if I had to be back here at 5'10", you'll notice this seat would have to be adjusted. There's wireless charging there, and then my head is up against the headliner. Better for kids. If I had to go a few miles, I could, but this is mainly for extra storage space. You do get an armrest though, and a small window there. So it's not a full 4-seater, but you could use it if you really had to. And then we can put that seat back. I'll have to use that adjustment to put the seat back in its normal position. Now we are greeted with a full Alcantara steering wheel with carbon fiber ZL1 on the bottom there. This also has the paddle shifters. There's the heated steering wheel, cruise control settings, you have favorites, volume, and then these adjustments are for the gauge cluster. Let's fire this back up, take a listen to that V8. As we look at the gauge cluster now, you'll notice that on the left side, there's RPM, right side there's miles per hour. You have fixed information running across the top, and then you can use those dials to go through the rest of the LCD screen. So you have quite a lot that you can go through under this one tab. If we go to the left, we can scroll down now and go into performance. So you have a lot of vitals that you can monitor and go through all of this. Your electronic limited slip, you can even take a look at. Then you have audio, navigation, phone, and some options to get into. So there's launch control, and then you have some units that you can get into as well. So not a whole lot, but it's nice with the info that you do get there. Now on this left side, there's one air vent, even the head-up display adjustments. So currently it's showing miles per hour along with the audio. We can pull up the navigation, pull up G-forces and the RPM, and just have miles per hour. So just depending on the driving that you're doing. There's also some carbon fiber accents for that entire gauge cluster surround. And then as we work our way to the infotainment system, it is pretty simple, but it's easy to go through. So you have icons here like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can get into your ambient lighting, you have My Chevrolet, and then a split view as well. There's also shortcuts in the lower section, so you can get through all this info. You have some physical buttons like home, volume, and tuning. And then underneath that, you'll notice that this has heated and ventilated seats along with the temperature readout. All you have to do is twist on the fan dial and that will adjust the temperature. You have fan speed, where you'd like the air to go, power, and then hazards in the lower section. There's more alcantara for the shifter. Let's put this into reverse, where there's the backup camera along with the guidelines that you can turn on and off. There's also drive and the manual setting. And then behind that, there's traction control. This does have a few different driving modes. So there's Tour, Sport, Track, and Snow and Ice. So if you're brave enough to take this out in the snow and ice, you have a mode to help. There's an auxiliary, your e-brake, 2 cup holders, the Chevy and Performance logo on this armrest, which has an auxiliary in the back and a little bit of storage. There's more alcantara for the airbag cover. You have storage in the glove box there. And then this is also equipped with the digital rear view mirror. So on the back of the shark fin antenna is the additional camera to give you some more visibility. There's garage door buttons up top and then dome lights just above that. Now for a sports car, you do have a bulky pillar right there, but you have a large rear window and you have your side mirrors too to help see around that. Over this left side, you have your side mirror as well, again, to help you out. So honestly, it's not all that bad for its design. As we set off now behind the wheel for the last year for the ZL1, Ford has introduced the 2024 Ford Mustang as a new design that has an ICE engine. Dodge is going fully electric for their Challenger. Chevrolet, I am not sure. I hope they bring something back. There might be some speculations on some EV models. I am not sure, but if Chevy wants to keep their buyers interested, unlike Dodge, I don't really think any muscle car owner is going to buy an EV Challenger or Charger, because that just isn't what a muscle car is meant. You want an American muscle car, you want that V8, you want that power, that sound. Yes, EVs can get up and move, but that's basically it. It's a good straight line vehicle to give you a headache because there's only so many times you can accelerate in a high horsepower or high powered EV. So if you want one of the last Camaros that sounds like that, this is the year to get it. Now, I've also been in the manual ZL1, which I do prefer. The automatic is okay. We have the 10 gears to go through, but it still allows you to play with the gears versus the 6-speed manual. Obviously, you don't have as many gears, but you can still kind of rev out the gears in this 10-speed. So you can still have some fun with it if you're not a manual person, and they are very responsive, which is nice. But this is a great vehicle to drive. This is something that, even though it has this much power, this is a vehicle that you can just daily drive and stop and go traffic, just running some errands, things like that. And then when you're ready to, you can take it on some back roads, the track. You can do a lot of different driving with this vehicle. And it's somewhat practical having the back seat, having the trunk space. just to make it a little bit more usable on a daily basis. And so let's go down to second gear here again. Definitely sounds good. You can hear that supercharger whine, which is really nice. That definitely doesn't get old while you are under an acceleration. But as far as driving this, it's very comfortable. The seats are great. I love the support that they have to offer. Now, one thing with the Camaro as well, which I've seen in previous comments, is talking about the interior. For a nearly $70,000 sports car, we got plastic, we have alcantara, all the leather. It's just interesting to see the amount of plastic for this car. But if you're buying it for the power, that's something that, you know, can be a small negative. I wouldn't let that deter you from buying it, because what you get outweighs a little bit of this here. And you have super easy tech to go through. So it's a very performance-focused vehicle that also gives you some creature comforts to daily drive. And from second gear, here we go. Definitely sounds really good. I love that V8 rumble and that supercharger whine. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the ZL1. Looks nearly identical to some of the lower trim levels, aside from the materials, of course, but everything else has a same layout. So you can get some of the lower trim levels just depending on what you're looking for. I think this is a great performance muscle car to get, but I do think some of the lower trim levels have a good amount of power, at least for daily driving. So yes, this can be a daily driver, but this is more of a track vehicle. So if you're buying the ZL1, hopefully you're doing a lot more tracking than just daily driving if you choose to get this. But it's a great place to be. And it's super comfortable too. Now, as far as the turning radius goes, as a daily driver, it's a small vehicle, so it has a small footprint to it. So you have a tight steering, which is nice. And then as we get back up to speed here, we have a lot more potential than what I'm throwing at it today. So this is definitely has a lot more revving it out and just enjoying the performance that this vehicle has. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the last year for the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Once again, huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this muscle car for me today. Take a look at their website, give this a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.